Good evening, ladies, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Making the headlines tonight, Belmopan residents 200 feet away from sewage treatment plant says stench permeates for half of the year. Nigel Tio to lead demonstration Friday at PM's office, University Hospital land. And should Belize be concerned about Mpox? We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
The hurricane season is here. Are you prepared?
brilliant day.
Welcome back with your news. I am MarKeisha Young. While we have reported that a property of 4.8 acres separates the Belmont University Hospital's land from the BWS sewer treatment ponds, there are residents of the Cahoon Walk area whose houses are located only 200 feet away from the BWS property. At the furthest point, there is only a buffer of 350 feet between the BWS facility and residential homes. Today, the residents who live closest to the property reported that for half of the year, the stench in the air becomes unbearable in the morning and after heavy rain. Several residents only spoke off camera, but one resident said he does not think it's a good location for the hospital due to the stench.
Obviously, the ponds stink. It stinks a lot, especially in the morning and when it rains. Heavy rains will mix up the ponds and then you smell the stench. Months like November, December, when we have north breeze blowing, it comes all the way over here.
Really?
Yeah.
So about how long now would you say that you guys have been dealing with this stench?
There's reports. This has been more than the second time that we have been, I would say more than 3 times that we have been doing this reporting to on the news that the place stinks. Huh?
They're about to build a hospital.
I know the story.
A few acres away. Do you think that's a good area considering the smell that you guys have been experiencing?
For sure, not for a hospital. Not for a hospital.
Because it stink.
Definitely. Come in the morning early. Or when it rains heavy and you smell it.
We asked the Chief Environmental Officer, Anthony Mai, for input on the proximity of the new university hospital to the sewage ponds.
Well, I'm not sure. We haven't received anything in the DOE. I haven't been given any details of the project per se, so it's difficult to say. And I'm very cautious about basically giving an opinion on something that I don't have critical information on. The way the Department of Environment works is we use scientific information to guide our decision, and only through the use of data can we give such an input. So at this point, I'm not too sure.
So I've read that there is the potential, possibility, likelihood, and danger of seepage of sewage ponds. And obviously there are different types and so, but you've never had any such concern from that particular one?
Not from that particular one. I think a component of that project is concrete in terms of pond. I know that an upgrade, we granted environmental clearance for an upgrade a couple of years ago, maybe 5-6 years. The upgrade included the installation of, I think, a dry bed. And I think they lined one of the ponds, and they also included UV light for disinfecting the waste before it goes into the environment. So there have been some improvement to that facility over the years.
Much has been said over the change in location of the proposed Belmont University Tertiary Hospital. With criticism intensifying, land activist Nigel Teal has questioned whether the government really did search for the best value for taxpayers' money after it decided to switch the location from the University of Belize compound to an area 4.8 acres away from BWS sewer treatment ponds.
There are other land for sale in the general area, far much cheaper. I could carry you into a land right now in an area at the entrance of the road that goes to Banana Bank, not Banana Bank, by Rancho area there. One individual have about 15 acres, 14 to 15 acres there, about selling for $150,000 an acre. And it's the distance that was no more than, not even quarter mile, maybe 10 lampposts away. So did we take our time to assess the value? Did we take our time to find out if there's, or are they telling us that the only piece of land we available in Belmont? The next issue to add to that, when I spoke to one of the individuals involved with the valuation of that whole area, his thing to me is that, Mr. Pitcher, we never had to buy this land by acreage, you know. We ended up had to buy this land by parcel because the area was already subdivided and approved by Lands Department. So then they said they had to pay this individual $35,000 up to that magnitude per lot in the area. Was that the best? Was that in the best interest of Belizean taxpayers' money? No.
Aria Lightfoot, who has a degree and license in realty in the U.S., explained the importance of accurate appraisals of land value. She questioned whether the government did its due diligence.
I don't know if people realize, but appraisals are a big part of real estate.
So much so that it crashed the U.S. market and almost brought the world economy to its knees. If you do a little bit of research under the subprime loan, subprime mortgages, which was mortgage brokers inflating the value of real estate, banks lending based on those values, people not being able to pay it, and the banks not being able to recover their investment. The thing is with appraisal, when you're selling, first thing is, based on what I've heard, they're using value for the real estate based on the fact that the guy got approval for land subdivision, right? That's the argument. That argument would work if the government took away the land from him and was compensating him for the land. However, the government is purchasing land on behalf of the people of Belize. And it is they have a fiduciary and an ethical duty to ensure that they're purchasing at a good value, one, and purchasing at the best value. And we know that's not necessarily the case. Was it put out to tender? Was an advertising put out that, hey, the government needs alternative properties, submit something like that, where the government can legitimately say, hey, you know, we did a research and everybody was giving us values of this amount.
The protest is scheduled in front of the PM's, that is, office in Belmopan on Friday, beginning at 8 a.m. Patia shared more information on this.
There are other land for sale in the general area, far much cheaper. I could carry you into a land right now in the area at the entrance of the road that goes to Banana Bank, not Banana Bank, by Rancho area there. One individual have about 15 acres, 14 to 15 acres, they're about selling for $150,000 an acre. And it's the distance that was no more than, not even quarter mile, maybe 10 lampposts away. So did we take our time to assess the value? Did we take our time to find out if there's, or are they telling us that that's the only piece of land we're available in Belmopan? The next issue to add to that, when I spoke to one of the individuals involved with the valuation of that whole area, his thing to me is that, Mr. Pitcher, we never had to buy this land by acreage, you know. We ended up had to buy this land by parcel because the area was already subdivided and approved by land department. So then they said they had to pay this individual.
Opposition leader Moses Shine Barrow today announced that the United Democratic Party will join in the protest on Friday.
We're joining with civil society partners on Friday, activists such as Nigel Patil and other members of civil society to express our outrage, and we will be convening at the Prime Minister's office. And I can quote a Creole saying, "The fool that talk but no fool that listen," and that pretty much sums up the reality of the matter. Not because you're a technocrat or you have some type of master's or PhD means that you could take the Belizean people for a fool. The fact of the matter is, this bill was first presented in the National Assembly by way of legislation promotion from the Saudi Fund. This is a $90 million tertiary hospital, and the Prime Minister himself said that this would be constructed on the UB campus, and that this would be a teaching facility for students, medical students. This is what was presented to the public. So now to abort that plan of action that was brought to the House of Representatives for the alternative that they have presented could only be corrupt, could only be the most abhorrent decision that those that are charged with protecting the public purse could commit. These parcels of land that make the 15 acres, according to the Belmopan City Council, are assessed at about $350,000 with 15 acres. How can you justify spending $7 million for a parcel of land or two parcels of land that coming in to make 15 acres. How can you justify 39 times cost of said land?
Activist Nigel Patillo has organized a Zoom meeting for this Thursday at 6 p.m. Belize time for Belizeans to discuss the latest developments in the country. High on the list is the $6.9 million land purchased by the government for the new Belmopan Hospital over free land already owned by the University of Belize. The meeting is expected to also include members of the Belize diaspora. Patillo explained more.
The thing here is, enough time people say we complain today, we protest tomorrow, and that's it, things stop. We're in discussion with the Belizean American diaspora right now, Sister Ara Lightfoot, Leisha, Ditra, one of the trans brothers and sisters out in America who are Belizeans and are concerned about what's taking place here. So we set up our activity where Thursday night, this Thursday right here, 6 o'clock Belize time, there will be a Zoom meeting. It will be live over the Facebook as well, where those people could tune in, like put in their concerns as well, point out issues that they have against this whole process. Again, the Belizean Americans have been helping Belize big time. Left time you see Western Union, MoneyGram, barrels and so on, then see people, and the government have always applauded them and thanked them to be giving out their hands out. My issue here is we can't just have one day presentation and call it done. Right now, that Venezuela, that months upon months, and other countries around the world where they don't stop, they're not just on one day protest. We need you Belizeans to understand on the role, not just voters. Stop like that the only value we have.
Today we asked our Director of the Ministry of Health's Epidemiology Unit, Dr. Russell Manzanera, how much we here in Belize should be concerned about Mpox, formerly monkeypox. You may be aware that on August 14th, the World Health Organization declared the Mpox outbreak in the Congo and several other countries in Africa a public health emergency of international concern.
You do understand Mpox has different clades, sort of different variants. We have clade 1 and 2. When we had the first outbreak in 2022, which basically affected globally, we did see that scenario was based on clade 2. Now that we're seeing this increase of cases within Africa, that's a different clade, that's clade 1b. It has been sparking some interest there because of the outbreak of cases, especially among adults and children. And the concern there is that it is no longer a sexual mode of transmission, but now it has been moved now towards a more direct contact between individuals. Of course, the concern of why it became a public health emergency was because of the different limitations that you might see in Africa. Of course, you look at the impact it may have on the general population, you look at what the health system in existence is there. So definitely with movement, with people, then definitely you can have that potential spread to other parts of the world.
After the break, Eastern Division police officers received sign language training. Stay with us.
Nando's Wholesale is your
The 2023-2024 sugarcane season came to an end up north on July 21st, and there was leftover cane. As had been projected, sugar production this year won't be as much as expected, though the final figures have not yet been shared. Nonetheless, Minister of Agriculture Jose Mai was asked what's going to happen with the cane left standing in the fields.
If I'm a cane farmer and you ask me if I want BSI to pay me for my cane that left out, I want to tell you yes. Does the law allow it? No, there's nothing in the law that says that. Other countries in Mexico, I think Article 87 of the Mexican sugarcane industry law states that if there's a sugarcane contracted out there to be milled by the miller, and for whatever reason that mill, the mill has to pay for it. That is not the case in Belize. We ended up with a crop less than last year, I think it is. We have close to 100,000 tons of cane left out there. That's it for that cane, right? If the farmer is lucky, he may be able to deliver it in December next year. But usually you lose on that cane. For years that has happened, and the farmer does not get compensated for that. So I don't think that will happen. But it just shows you that the laws in other countries do protect the farmer. We have a 50-year-old law, and trying to come up with a new law has become somewhat problematic because everything they say, oh, you are infringing on the rights of the company, you know, and so it's not an easy place to be honest. But we're hoping that this commission of inquiry going on will provide a basis, a sound basis for a modern, updated, fair law fair to the producer and fair to the miller. But we can do better in the sugar industry.
This week, some 30 community policing officers from the Belize Police Department's Eastern Division are receiving sign language training in Belize City. ACP Howell Gillett, the national commander of the Community Policing Unit, spoke of the importance of being able to communicate with the entire community that the police serve. He also said this is just the first phase of this initiative.
We are to truly be policing the entire population. We have to include those with special needs. And our officers, it's long in coming. We've been trying for some years now to try to get this training up. But thankfully to the staff at Stella Maris for supporting us. Police officers have a duty of care to the entire population, not just a small cross section of the community, but all of the community across the country. So we have to train our officers in sign language to hear from these people, to speak with them, and we want to know if they are harmed, if they are in fear, if they've been hurt. We need to know that as law enforcement, and then this initial phase is just an introduction, but as you saw earlier, they've learned a lot in just 2 days. But the real end product that we want to see is for these officers to get further training so that they could probably take a statement from a victim.
Sergeant Rashid Coleman told the media that it has been easy to pick up sign language and feels the knowledge will help her greatly in her work. She also showed us a bit of what she learned so far.
First of all, it's a very interesting experience. We very much appreciate it. It's an opportunity actually, and it's very important because at times we do have complainants or victims who come into the unit and they wish to make a report and we're unable at any level to communicate with them. We often have to seek assistance from other entities, and especially if it's on a weekend, we have problem reaching out to them. So with the knowledge that we're gaining here, at least we'll be able to navigate more or less the initial stages.
How easy was it for you to pick up the sign language?
It was pretty easy actually, surprisingly, yes, very easy. The lecturers are very clear and it's not difficult at all.
So you were asked to give your name. Can you give us your name in sign language?
It's R-A-S-H-E-E-D, Rashid.
Rashid, wonderful. That's great. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so what's one thing that you've learned that stood out to you so far that you feel you'll be taking back into your job?
Everything. Everything. We're starting from scratch, and some of us were completely clueless, and so definitely everything.
On Monday, UDP Chairman Alberto August openly questioned on Facebook the current sign language training being received by police officers. He called out ACP Howell Gillett and told him not to get involved in what he calls simpleness, and opined that the department, like PM Brisenia, believes Belizeans are dumb. Today, ACP Gillett was questioned about the comments.
But to be honest, I didn't go in the entirety of his comments. I don't want to have an ad hominem attack on him, but just to address the issues, to me they weren't carefully thought out, the comments that were made. It's unfortunate that he made those comments. He who feels it knows it. For those families that have children or loved ones with special abilities.
Belize's One Health Committee met today for a zoonotic disease prioritization workshop taking place at the Biltmore Hotel in Belize City this week. Zoonotic diseases are those that are treated from animals to humans. The workshop is being facilitated by the CDC and COMISCA, the grouping of ministers of health in SICA. Participating are officials from the Ministry of Health, BAHA, the Department of the Environment, Forest Department, and others. We spoke with Dr. Russell Manzanero, Director for the Ministry of Health's Epidemiology Unit, and Chief Environmental Officer Anthony Mai.
We're gathered here with different stakeholders, of course, to look at what is the prioritization of diseases in the country. We're part of an entire membership within the globally of how we want to prioritize the different illnesses within our own country. Yes, we might be following different illnesses, but definitely when we start to look at the prioritization of illnesses, we can look at different agendas, we can look at the strategies that would be geared towards what we would call under the One Health approach. What this means is that we can now follow diseases, we can put into strategies and monitor these illnesses at the different levels within the different ministries. As we mentioned, we really cannot work alone when it comes to following illnesses and surveillance. It's basically a network. It's basically working under the One Health approach with the different ministries and agencies towards that goal.
Can you tell us who are the external agencies who are represented here today who are assisting the ministry?
Well, we have CDC, who is funding through COMISCA, which is the Ministerial Council of Health Ministers within the region. Of course, we have our counterparts with PAHO as well. So all of them are here in a capacity to advise, to see how we manage this prioritization and make sure that we work towards one goal.
Is this a meeting that's a follow-up to another one, or what prompted it?
Well, this has been in discussion for quite some time. I mean, now that we are moving towards following different illnesses, we know that it requires more than just Ministry of Health. As we move towards a lot of zoonotic illnesses, we do know that illnesses are transmitted from an animal source. So definitely working along with different ministries such as agriculture, the environment is necessary. So now that we can start that collaboration between the ministries, that is something that
the idea is that everything in the environment is connected. And so as different disease comes up, emerge, and spread, globally, the scientists and the doctors are looking at the sources of those diseases. And several of those sources comes directly from the environment in terms of bacteria, microorganisms, animals, etc. that is within the environment. Basically, when the threats of urbanization and development expands, people become exposed to different things within the environment that they were not exposed to before. And so because of these threats, when exposure happens, normally disease could be transmitted from animals to humans through that means.
I probably would have read it elsewhere that with the forest fires you have things, I can't say dug up, but maybe things emerge.
Yeah. Well, they will show it forest fire. It leads to degradation of habitat, which leads to biodiversity loss, and it creates some environmental threats and challenges for us. And like I said, Belize is a developing country, and so as we develop and we venture more into, for example, pristine forests, we become exposed to different things there. We could get exposed to things that we might not have studied as yet. And those exposures are critically important for us because, again, some of these things could lead to the creation and emergence of disease. So the creation of this One Health Committee is critically important because the committee has a group of expertise from the environment field, the health field, and agricultural field, and together the experts discuss what are the current diseases that are affecting Belize, how these diseases are transmitted and spread, and then we look at the sources of these diseases. And so one of the possible sources is infection through animal. In fact, this morning I just learned that 6 out of every 10 infectious human diseases are spread by animals, right? And so it is critically important then for these three broad sectors to sit, discuss, plan, and put preventative measures in place and control in place when such diseases are spread.
By Thursday, Belize, like other countries in the region, would have selected between 3 and 7 zoonotic diseases to prioritize. On Monday, the Prime Minister, Honorable John Briceño, met with the executive members of the Association of Protected Areas Management Organization, who had recently complained of changes regarding managing protected areas. The goal of the meeting was to reach a consensus on the collaborative path forward. Both sides agreed on the formation of a working group which comprises representatives from both sides. The group will spearhead a revision of the National Protected Areas System Act and the Protected Areas Conservation Trust Act. In the working group will be members of the PM's office, Ministry of Sustainable Development, Ministry of Blue Economy, Ministry of Tourism, APAMO, Belize Marine Protected Areas Network, and Belize Network of NGOs. The group will be tasked with enhancing co-governance of the NPAS and PACT Acts, strengthening reporting and accountability mechanisms, and facilitating resource mobilization and leveraging both acts and more. After the break, second bridge through Sartaneja is almost complete. Stay tuned.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize.
When it comes to discussions regarding increased trade and collaboration between Belize and Mexico, Belize looks towards Mexico for export markets for our products. However, what does Mexico ask in return? Speaking after the latest trade discussion with high-level officials from Mexico, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Jose Mai said the collaboration has to be from both ends.
So we expect them to ask of us certain things. I do not know. They have been asking us to remove some of the restrictions at the border because they want to tour into Belize, but we put restrictions. We first, if you don't have a passport, you can't come in. One, if you don't, if the vehicle is not in your name, you can't bring in the vehicle. You have to insure the vehicle. So there are many things in there that maybe we want to iron out, but we are asking them to. Today, these 5 things that we are asking them, they haven't asked of us anything yet, but yeah, as yet. So we are saying, well, what is it that we can do for you so that we can strengthen the relationship, so that we have mutual benefits, because it's reciprocal. Right? Trade and trade relations are reciprocal. So we expect them to say, well, we want you to smoothen that. We want to come to Belize, but there are so many restrictions. Can we remove them? Can we ease up on the restrictions? But we expect them to ask something of us for this.
So for now, it's only within the bracket of trade and tourism.
Yeah, tourism, yeah. Technical cooperation. We have very good technical cooperation agreement with them. They give us a lot of technical assistance in agriculture. They have given us varieties for testing soybean. Today, soybean is in the country. We are self-sufficient in production now.
Mai says the Mexicans have also helped Belize with research on pitahaya or dragon fruit. The voir dire for the case involving the Bladen 12 regarding the landing of a drug plane on the Southern Highway in November 2021 is winding down. The case continued today before Senior Magistrate Bahas Showman with 1 Crown witness appearing. From here, the case will adjourn to 3 days, hopefully in the 3rd week of September, if a defense attorney is available to hold a brief for the other 2. At that time, the defense is expected to present its case. We spoke with Alifa Ellington, head of the prosecution branch.
Well, once the prosecution would have closed its case, what then happens is the defense has to open their case and they have to do what it is that they have to do. So once the defense completes their case, then the magistrate will make a determination after we have made submissions, and I think today we agreed that submissions would be made. Well, Mr. Banner would have preferred submissions to be oral, so we're just waiting on the court to determine whether or not it's going to be written submissions or oral submissions at the close of the defense case.
Is the defense calling any witnesses?
My understanding, outside of the accused person, my understanding was no. But of course that can change between now and when it is that they open their case.
Police are seeking the assistance of the public in locating 16-year-old Emery Nisani Abraham Ramos. The autistic teenager was last seen at home in Belmopan this past Friday. His mother, Adele Ramos, and his 2 siblings had gone to purchase school supplies, and when they returned, they observed that Emery had packed some of his belongings and left. He was then seen Sunday at the Falcon Field in San Ignacio town. According to Ramos, the area is known to him as he once attended the Cayo Center for Employment Training. Emery has dreadlocks and stands 5 feet 6 inches in height. He is of dark complexion and weighs about 135 pounds. Anyone with information on the teen's whereabouts is asked to call the nearest police station. And in the ongoing project to pave the road from Corzal Town to Sartaneja, 2 of the major hurdles are the building of 2 bridges along the route. The Laguna Seca Bridge, which crosses the mouth of Laguna Seca as it enters Lores Bight into the Corzal Bay, is already completed. The second bridge, which is Pueblo Nuevo Bridge, that crosses the New River, is almost completed. Chief Engineer Evandale Moody said that Pueblo Nuevo Bridge is expected to be completed by October of this year.
Yes, the second bridge is the Pueblo Nuevo Bridge along the Corzal Sartaneja project. The first one, the Laguna Seca, has been completed. Pueblo Nuevo is about 80% completed. There's only one span that remains for us to install the girders, which I believe the contractor will do that within the next week, 2 weeks, because they had asked permission for us to give them permission to transport the girders from mile 12 on the Philip Golden Highway all the way to Corozal. Other than that, the northern approach has been completed in terms of this bridge, and it's only, as I said, the center span for the bridge and also the southern approach that is left to be put in place. So we expect that we will have this bridge completed, I would say, towards the end of September, the first or second week in October. That's the plan.
And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. Our repeats can be viewed on this station later tonight at 9 and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast. I am MarKeisha Young. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.